Hello everyone, Studlord here, and we're going to take a look at the Lego Ideas Gift with Purchase Challenge. The vote is now open. You have until the 7th of May to choose your favourite, and basically the winning one of these 15 excellent submissions is going to become a future gift with purchase. That means that although you are going to have to spend some money on a different set that you obviously want and like, one of these can be yours for free, and that does make a change. Now, I'm going to go through these completely randomly, give you my thoughts on each, but make sure to post in the comments below which your favourites are, which you're going to be voting for, and why. So, first up, we've got our giant Mantaray here in this little reef, and whilst it's a simple little set, I think it would work really well on display. The designer has put in their description that they wanted to do something that would look good in the home or in the office, but also appeal to kids as well, and you know what? I think that they've done a great job with this, ticks all those boxes. The overall build is 250 pieces, the Mantaray itself apparently being 177 of those, and overall I do like it. I'm trying to think what I have in my collection that I would potentially want to display this next to. I'm not quite sure of the answer to that at the moment. I mean, to be fair, I've got a lot of pirate ships, so I suppose it could technically go alongside that. But either way, it doesn't matter, because to be fair, this is a pretty decent looking standalone piece. I'd be quite happy to get this as a GWP. Be interesting to obviously know what Lego would potentially pair one of these with. That could obviously influence what overall gets chosen by their review board. But it's certainly a nice thing. So if you like it and it is your favourite, make sure to head on over to Lego Ideas, log in, and then you will be able to vote. But of course, you only have the one vote, so you need to make it count. And next up, we have this cool little number, Attack of the Kraken. As I just mentioned, I do have quite a few pirate ships. I am a big fan, so I think this would slot in very nicely for me. It's a really cool design, actually. Bearing in mind how few bricks it is, it's been really cleverly done to actually create the look of the water there with the boat careering away from those massive tentacles. And it's an interesting choice of colour, actually. I wouldn't have immediately gone for this, but the trans green really does work pretty well. I'm liking it a lot. I also really like the inclusion of the cannonball that's just firing out here towards the tentacles. That's a really nice touch. They've even got a little bird down there as well on the trans tile. That's cool. Overall, this is 250 pieces on the nose, and it's a sweet looking little diorama. I really like this one. Definitely up there for me. Next up, this one is definitely very cool. It is the propeller plane desk fan. What an awesome little idea this is. It's made up of 213 pieces, and of course the minifigure as well, dressed up as a classic aviator. Really like that touch. I mean, this isn't exactly Tom Cruise out of Top Gun, but to be fair, he's about minifigure size, so it could be. Anyway, I do really like the plane, love the colours, just generally think this is a really nice idea. Not quite sure how well it would actually work as a desk fan. I mean, sure, you could rig up a motor to this, but otherwise you would just be twizzling it round and round. I'm not sure how much of a breeze you'd get on your face doing that. Probably work up more of a sweat trying to do it, but it doesn't really matter because it's just a super fun little idea, and actually the very fact that there is movement involved as well as something that just looks cool when on static display is a really nice touch. I think this would make for an awesome GWP. Certainly a heck of a lot better than, not all, but quite a lot of the stuff Lego tends to give us in that regard. So to be fair, that's very deserving of a vote as well. You know, only 3 in and I'm already torn over where mine's going to go. Next up, one for the football fans, it's the mini stadium, and Lego's foray into doing a big brick-built stadium didn't really go down too well. It had a very mixed reception depending on regions. In some places it sold pretty dang quickly, in others it just lingered on for ages and ages, so not sure how they'd feel about this one. For me, I'll be honest, it doesn't really do anything, but then I'm not a football fan, and obviously that's what this is all about. I imagine for the plethora of people out there who are fans of both football and Lego, of which there must be pretty huge crossover, this is going to be a very welcome little gift. Sure, it is going to be popular, and for something that is on such a small scale, it's actually been done really well. It immediately captures the essence of a rather magnificent stadium if this was in real life size. So good use of colours, nice pieces. Not for me personally, but I am sure that will be pretty popular too. Moving on, while I may not be a fan of football, I definitely am a fan of stuffing my face, and this Fries GWP is brilliant. I really like the different food truck style things that Lego have given us before, whether it be in City or even in Friends from the likes of the hot dog truck. Of course, the retro food truck that we actually got, the Snack Shack from the Bricklink designer program that's just been Series 1. This is something that would fit in really well along the same sort of lines. My only big problem with it is that I'm going to get hungry every time I look at it. So, might not do any favours for my waistline, but I think it's an absolutely brilliant build. Next up, something quite different and very beautiful. The Northern Cardinal. This is an absolutely wonderful little build. First things, before we get to the bird itself, I'm liking that you can actually interchange the colour of the flowers. Obviously, this reminds me very much of a cherry, but I think that's a really nice touch. It'd be good if that was actually kept. If this one was chosen, I'd like the ability to be able to actually change the colour set. Anyway, the bird itself, we don't get Northern Cardinals here in the UK. I believe they are indigenous to parts of Canada and of course North America, even going down as far as Mexico. It's such a beautiful bird in real life, and what a wonderful little build this is. Quite simple, but extremely well done. Every piece used just perfectly. Whilst this might not have quite as much interest as the likes of that desk plane, or, fit in as well with other builds like that chip shack we were just looking at, what a wonderful display piece this is. I really liked the Mantaray, and I loved the Kraken that we looked at, but just as far as pure display goes, I think this is really lovely. I would very much enjoy having this. It would be displayed prominently. Beautiful build. Really cleverly done. I like this a lot. Next up, we've got this holy guacamole who's chomping on nachos. This is a very colourful and fun build. Lots of nice parts usage in this. Really colourful, just super fun. I think you can't help but smile when you look at this. So again, it would make for a really cool gift with purchase. It's not my favourite, I'll be honest. I definitely prefer some of the others for display, but I don't think any of them have quite made me smile as much as when I'm just looking at this. So it truly is a really fun little idea. Great design. I must admit, I am partial to some nachos with guacamole. Sometimes cream and chive, depends on the mood. But it is this cactus that's the star of the show. I think this is very amusing. It would give a lot of people a smile to have this on display. I think of all ages as well. Some of the others are probably more adult orientated. This, whether you're an AFOL, whether you're a kid, it doesn't really matter, does it? It would be super. So I think this would go down pretty well. Then we've got our microscale mountain pass and transit. And this is a cool little idea because, of course, we've got the wonderful mountain with those trees underneath, mixed with our cool steam train here, the cargo ship below, and of course the road as well, with the cars and the little truck. It is very much a meeting of mankind with nature here, and does make for a sweet little scene. I'm not hugely into micro builds, so again, not going to be my favourite, but I can really appreciate the way that this has been done. Again, when you've got far fewer bricks to make up each individual object, it's very clever because, you have to be very choosy with every individual piece. So I think this has been done remarkably well. It's another one that would make for a really cool little display piece. Moving on, we come to White Stork Airlines. This is another really colourful little build with some careful usage of different pieces to create rather wonderful looking wings, which can be moved up and down as well. That is a really nice touch. Again, considering so few parts overall, has a really impressive look. I'm not so keen on the elf on the back. I think I would just like the stork on its own, but that's easily remedied. You don't have to display it with it on there. I think the thing is, for me, when I'm looking at this, I'm either expecting a stork delivering a baby, or otherwise my mind's immediately going to Disney and the Rescuers with the albatross and the mice on there, Bernard and Bianca. So I'm not thinking an elf on a stork, but that's just where my mind goes. I know for other people, that's fine. And being a minifigure, you can just take it on or off, so no real issue there. Overall, again, personally, not my favourite, but it has been nicely done. I love the fact that the wings can be moved up and down. Parts usage just here in particular is really nice. I think it's a super job overall. Then we move on to this clever little idea, the Lego Brick Theatre. Now, the designer has chosen to use a Little Red Riding Hood and, of course, the wolf. And apparently these are placed so that you can move them backwards and forwards, meaning that this is going to be fun for play, not just display. But as the designer points out, the idea here is that you can change the backdrop and indeed the characters so that it can be whatever you want it to be. And that is a really cool concept. Whilst I can see this again being popular with AFOLs, I would gladly have this on display. I think particularly for younger Lego fans as well, something like this would be really good. It's ultimately just going to be a small set that can actually have a lot of intrigue behind it. The creativity where you can create different little scenes and obviously, quite literally plays. It's just a good idea. I love the creativity part of that. I think it would be, a super little learning tool, something fun as well. And it's also going to look good. So big thumbs up on this one. Really nice concept. I think it does deserve quite a few votes. Next up, we've got the coffee house, which is made out of basically an espresso machine. That's again a fun, quirky idea. I think this would be really popular too. Again, you could integrate this into quite a few setups. It's obviously fun as well, just as a little standalone piece too. So many coffee lovers out there as well. You could literally pop this next to your own espresso machine if you've got one, or just next to the kettle. Either way, it's going to give you a smile when you get up in the mornings, feeling all groggy, ready for that first cup of joe to get you woken up. So another good one. The first split second that I saw it, I thought, well, I'm not going to be too bothered about this. But then just realizing that it is that take on the espresso machine turned into a coffee shop, that just completely raised the bar on this for me. I think it's a really cool idea. Moving on, we come to the autumn snails. Again, quirky, colourful little build. I love all the different colours that are being used here, and I think that the snails are really fun. I still prefer the likes of that northern cardinal personally, but that is the hard thing about having to choose, because even the way that the shells on the snails have been done looks really nice. You know, even having a printed ladybug on a 1x1 tile. It's just nice little fun details like that I do enjoy. Exactly the sort of thing that I can see Lego choosing to do as a GWP. Would look fantastic on display. There's just other ones that I do think would probably be more popular than this, so I don't think it's the one that Lego would choose. That's just my perspective on it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. No doubt about it though, it's a fun little set. Then we come on to our Hawaiian floral display, and you know what? This would have gone great when we had our buildable Stitch in his Hawaiian shirt. It would have been good to get this alongside it. Overall, of course, extremely colourful, and I think it would be very popular, naturally, with Lego's botanical range, even the little flower store that we got as part of their latest sort of houses/buildings of the world GWP series. This would slot right in there. I would prefer something specific to be the winner. You know, a real diorama scene, you know, like the Kraken that we looked at earlier. I just think that's got a bit more about it rather than this. Don't get me wrong, it's nicely done, beautiful little display. It's just not super special, I don't think. And to be fair, I say that as somebody who loves the like of the botanical collection, think the Lego flowers are just super. I just wouldn't be too fussed about this one. But of course, I'm sure for some of you, this would be your favourite. So if so, make sure to call that out in the comments below. All these little designs are cool and do deserve support. Then we have our vintage microphone, this one being one of the smaller of the GWPs proposed, 152 pieces to it, and our minifigure of course. It's iconic, immediately recognisable, and I'm sure something that when a favourite song comes on we would all pick up and start dancing around the rooms with, pretending to sing our hearts out to an audience of thousands all going crazy for us. Or maybe that's just me after I've had a few. I do think it's a fun one, probably quite likely in the running for something that Lego would choose as a gift with purchase to put out there. A little bit, I don't want to say basic because it's not, it's been really nicely done. It's just, I suppose the concept is a bit more basic to me compared to some of those others that we've looked at, if you know what I'm trying to say there. Guess I prefer the overall look and story behind some of those other ones that have been proposed, but that's not to take it away from this. It is a nice little design, and I do think stands a good chance of being chosen. I can see Lego doing this. I think it would be popular. And then last, but by no means least, is this, the fishing game. And what a fun, quirky little idea. Now, it's really colourful, been done very nicely, so again, it's just going to look good on the side. You're not going to have to worry about keeping it out the way. Looks cool on display, but of course, this one is all about play. Now, the designer has popped in there, even for the youngest, and yes, I think this would be a fantastic one for children, but I've got to tell you, even grumpy old folk like me, who are just big kids at heart, I would be playing with this. There's no doubt about it. I think it's a brilliant thing when you're taking Lego, which is of course effectively a toy, you know, first and foremost, even when it transcends that into being some beautiful, fantastic builds, at the heart of it, it's obviously a toy. When you're making a playable, fun little game like this out of it, I think it is super. I think this will most definitely be in the running. Super fun, and is definitely going to be on the short list of ones that I am going to be considering voting for. As for which my overall favourite is, well, do you know what? I haven't entirely made up my mind yet. I am very torn, probably between the Kraken. I love the idea of the plane as well. The fries and the Northern Cardinal were both great. Oh, look, all of these have something about them. That fishing game is definitely up there. I'll say right now, it's in my top 3. I've got a funny feeling where I'm going to be swaying towards with this, but you know, I may take a couple more days before choosing where to put my vote. But don't take too long, okay? You've got until May the 7th. So I'll pop the link in the description below. Head on over, cast your vote, and don't forget to let me know in the comments what you think is the best one, and share where you'll be putting your vote if you care to. Thanks very much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, all that normal stuff, and look forward to catching you on the next one.